clapped. Sorry, sir. You need to die too. Thank you. Oh my goodness, dude. Just accept it, man. Greetings and welcome back to the channel, guys. Today we got a Stamina Templar build, but not any Stamina Templar build. This is Ghost. You might be familiar with the build Ghost, which is the basically signature build of one of my very good friends, KRIS, also known as Christopher ESO, also known as Jack Daniel ESO. You guys know him. He's a good friend of mine. He's been playing this build for basically 10 years. And he's updated the build many a times throughout the years, but unfortunately he's not playing ESO anymore. I hope he's going to come back someday, but since he's not playing the build anymore, he's not playing ESO anymore, I thought maybe I'll bring it back. Maybe if he sees that the build is doing well and is still capable of doing some work, maybe he wants to come back one day. Let's hope that's the case. But yeah, I was missing a build like this. It's been a while since I played a build like this. So what this build does is it's basically a Stamina Templar that focuses on mobility, on burst damage, and combos, basically. It's not, the typical kind of spam Templar that you know from other builds where just like you spam jabs. This build's never been about that, and it is still not about that. I do enjoy a combo-based build, even though like in today's PvP climate, they're not as, I would say, effective anymore as they used to be back in the day. But they can still be pretty good if you play your cards right. So let's get into this. Let's look at the stats here. So we're looking at 32k health, 18k magicka, and 21.5k stamina. Pretty nice. Stamina recovery 1600 unbuffed. This goes up quite a bit. We have major and minor, for example. So this is 2200. Of course, with the Cyrodiil buff, this goes up even further. We have some CP that gives you more regen. So overall, you're going to be over 2.5k stamina recovery. So plenty of recoveries here. When it comes to the weapon and spell damage, this goes up a ton. So right now we're sitting at 4.5k unbuffed. When we're fully buffed, we're actually reaching over 7k, 7.5k. So plenty of damage coming out of this build. Then the spell penetration, 9k base. Also, this is going to go up quite a bit. We have basically a major and minor breach on this build. So yeah, we're gonna get tons of penetration, and of course, you're gonna see we have just overall great damage stats. We can hit really hard. When it comes to the resistances, not super high. 20k, this goes up to 23k fully buffed, but this is because we're basically just a medium armor build, and this is just, what medium armor builds have. It's just not more than that. But you're not supposed to get hit anyway. This is more of a dodgy build. You're supposed to keep your distance. You're supposed to dodge attacks and just go in and out quickly and take out your opponents. So this is what this build is supposed to do. Almost 1600 crit resistance, pretty nice. We're running the Lover Mundus just for extra penetration here. Vampire stage 1, you can run stage 3, but I don't think it is necessary. Especially next patch, it's not going to be necessary anymore. You're going to get the Undeath passive in a reduced fashion at stage 1. So next patch, this build's actually going to be better, a little bit more sustainable at lower health. And for the food we're using, Dubious Cameron Throne, you can use, if you really want to use other foods, you can. I think this is the best one because you get the max health, you get the stamina, and you get the stam recovery. That's all I want. So I would definitely recommend this one if you really want to run something else that gives you more Magicka regen. You can do that, but I feel like Magicka is fine on this build. Even though we have a lot of Magicka skills and we're casting them quite often, I think the Magicka sustain is overall pretty fine. Let's look at the sets here. So on the back bar, we're running a set that I don't really see anyone use, which is the Phoenix Moth. And this is a great set because, first of all, double stam recovery, super nice. This build needs a decent amount of recovery, so this was one of the main reasons I chose this one. Max stamina, can't go wrong. But then healing yourself or an ally grants the target minor courage and minor force, which is amazing. So you get 215 weapon and spell damage, and you get 10% extra crit damage for 12 seconds per target. So this is really, really nice as a backbar set. Absolutely love this one. Don't see anyone run this, even though this is really a good set. So yeah, this is our backbar set. Then on the front bar, we're running Rushing Agony. I chose this one because first of all, great stats on it. Stam recovery again. So with this, we're getting triple stam recovery, which means I don't have to run any dedicated sustain set, and I don't have to run the Torque of Tonal Constancy either, which I've played around in the early stages of the build, and I wanted to get rid of it. And then I found these sets, and I was like, hey, this is pretty nice. Triple stam recovery is actually gonna make it so that I don't need any like dedicated sustain stuff. All right, this is giving me enough stamina recovery to work with. And then, of course, you get the weapon spell damage, and you get some extra offensive penetration. You can never go wrong with that. And this is a nice set. I've used this on many builds, and I really like it. And I think it works super well with this build. Now, I didn't really want to run procs necessarily on this build, but this one is just the way it works. It just feels nice as a combo, because this is a combo based build. And you have that 2-second delayed proc damage that you get from the set. It's really nice to like really stack the damage. So what this does is when you gap close someone after 0.8 seconds, you're going to pull them in, right? And then after 2 seconds, it's going to have a little AoE explosion that hits everyone around you for a decent amount of damage. And has a really, really low cooldown, so you can use this a lot. And yeah, I just liked how it felt. Like I'm usually gap closing in. I'm putting the pottle on either before or after I gap close, depending on the situation. Then they're being pulled in, like they're trying to get away from me. They're being pulled in. So the thing is, my gap closer, you'll see that it's the explosive charge. The gap closer doesn't stun people, right? Which I absolutely don't want, because now they're being pulled in. The pull on this set will not apply crowd control immunity. So neither the gap closer nor my pull will actually put crowd control immunity on my target, which means I could follow up with a javelin. So now I'm hitting my target. So now I've gap closed them. They've been pulled in. They're trying to get away. They get pulled in. And now I hit them with the javelin. Now they're stunned. And now I can hit them with a Dawnbreaker, because with the javelin, the good thing is it goes through blocks. So even if people are blocking it, they're still going to get stunned. Allows me to hit the Dawnbreaker and make sure that they're not blocking the Dawnbreaker. So the Dawnbreaker is going to hit them for full damage. And, I can just then go in with, light attack, execute, and stuff like that. So And then, of course, after 2 seconds, this damage proc comes in and kind of like it comes in with like roughly the time when I hit them with the Dawnbreaker. So that's a nice little combo splat of damage here. I really like this. This feels good to me. So yeah, this is the set we're going with. As the monster said, we're using Baylorg because, you know, if you want to really hit hard, Baylorg's the way to go. I really wanted to use something else, but there's just not many options right now. So Baylorg's still your bread and butter damage set. If it you know, if you really want to push it damage wise, there's just no getting around Baylorg. So yeah, Baylorg here. If you have the chance to like really build your ultimate up to 500 ultimate, you're going to start hitting disgustingly hard on this build, of course, because you're going to get tons of spell damage and you're going to get tons of penetration on top of a lot of spell damage and a lot of penetration that you already have, right? So that's going to hit super hard. We're using the one trainee piece here, the Gallant Chain, really nice, gives you 1 max health. It comes in reinforced, so that's really nice to just kind of bump up the resistances a little bit, and you get a little extra health, which is always good. We're running the Saint and the Seducer as our mythic. I thought about a lot of different things, but I think this makes the most sense because you just get really good buffs. Major Berserk is super nice. Major Force, super nice. We already have Minor Force, so Major and Minor Force stacking together. Perfect. Major Courage stacking with the Minor Courage that we have. I'm telling you, this build is actually packing a lot of damage. So, and this is very easy. You don't have to do anything. This is just going to happen when you're in combat. It's going to cycle through your buffs. So, yeah. And then, of course, Major Evasion is good to have. I don't really care much about it. Major Resolve we already have. And you also put some debuffs on your target that you're hitting, which are pretty nice. Maim is good. Minor Breach we don't really need. We already have. Minor Brittle, super nice. Vulnerability, super nice. Cowardice, yeah, it's okay. But yeah, you have really good debuffs on your target and really good buffs for yourself. So this is pretty amazing. I think this makes the most sense as a mythic for this build. And then, of course, you know, when it comes to the traits infused on your jewelry, this one I kept in Swift because I already had it in Swift, and I wanted to build a little extra movement speed into this build because, as I said in the beginning, movement is really important on this build. So we have Major and Minor Expedition. We have Celerity from the CP, and we have this Swift here, which basically makes it so that when we're sprinting, we're already at cap. We're just a teeny tiny bit over cap, which is nice. So we're basically maxed out on the movement speed here. And if you want, you can of course make this infused too, just to push the damage a little bit more. The 7% movement speed are not super necessary, but I just wanted to make sure I'm hitting the speed cap on this one. But I'll leave that up to you if you want to do that. Of course, when it comes to traits on the weapons, sharpened on the front bar and infused on the back bar. Reason for infused is because you just get more out of your weapon damage enchant. The way this build plays is you kind of want to open up with like either a light attack or a heavy attack into a poison injection, and then you swap to the front bar and you go in with your combo. Doing that means you're getting that 450 extra weapon and spell damage from, you know, just attacking your target with the bow and then going in for your combo, and you just repeat that, right? This is just basically your full combo would be heavy attack, poison injection, you gap close in, you put the pottle on, they get pulled in, you knock them down with the javelin, you hit them with the Dawnbreaker, your Rush of Agony procs, and then you just start executing them. The pottle goes off, boom, a lot of damage, right? And you just keep repeating that, right? If your target doesn't die, you keep repeating that. You keep repeating that. Make sure you always go back to your back bar and you hit them with a light attack or a heavy attack or a poison injection, just to, you know, like dot them up, but also just to put the the nice 450 weapon spell damage on them. I don't have the perfect traits on this build. Optimally, you want to go either all impen, or you want to have a mix of impen and well fitted. Would be really nice for this build because of the dodge rolls and the sprinting. So I think that would be the best thing to do, either full impen or like a couple of impen pieces, a couple of well fitted pieces, or if you really want to play this build as it's supposed to be played with a lot of sprinting, a lot of dodging, you can go full well fitted if you want to. This is also an option. But yeah, that's basically it. Let's look at the skills. So on the front bar, we got our javelin, as I already mentioned. This is part of our combo. It deals an okay amount of physical damage. It's gonna ignore the enemy's resistances, which is nice, and it cannot be blocked. So even a blocking target is gonna be stunned by this. Super nice to have. Really, really great skill. Next one, Power of the Light. You put this on, it does a little bit damage up front, and then the more you damage the target while the Power of the Light is on them, the more it scales up, and it will then after 6 seconds explode and give you a nice little damage splat, which you can of course time with your other burst damage. And it's going to apply the Sundered status effect. It's going to already like basically put the you know, the minor a breach on your target, which is of course important. And but even if you don't use this, we have the minor breach, as I already showed. We have the minor breach on the mythic as well. Next one, Executioner. This is your ultimate. This is not your ultimate. This is your execute. Helps you finish someone off that is low health. You can go with the other morph if you want. The other morph would give you the option to execute multiple targets, which might be better depending on how you use this. If you're like, because you can pull in a lot of people. I use this build a lot, like against like bigger groups, because I can pull them out of position, right? I can gap close into them, and when I gap close into them, I usually roll away from the direction in which they're going. What that does is, like after I hit them and I roll, 0.8 seconds later, a lot of people that are in range are gonna get pulled. So that's why I'm like rolling away from the direction that they're moving in, so I can pull them out of position. That's a good way to pull apart groups. You can hit like I can sometimes like pull like half a ball group out of position, right? I just literally just rip them apart, and the other part keeps running, and the part that I just pulled is now like far behind because they just got pulled out of position. And that really helps in fights where you think that you can't do much because you're not going to kill a ball group, but being able to rip them apart constantly and basically separate them into smaller chunks really helps, because then your team can come in and, you know, can hit them with siege, can hit them with like a counter attack, and it's going to be much easier to take out a smaller chunk of a ball group than it is to just take out the whole ball group. So you are actually super valuable on the battlefield doing this. So keep that in mind. You see a big group, you can just gap close in there, and then you dodge roll away from them, and then your pull goes off and it pulls the people out of position. Keep that in mind. So if you're doing this and you're like, you know, you clap them with a Dawnbreaker, which I do a lot too, because that way I can stun them too. That just make sure that they can't catch up to the rest of their ball group, right? So I pull them out of position, they get pulled, boom. I hit them with the Dawnbreaker, now they're stunned and they're taking some damage, so they kind of have to, like, you know, they have to break free, they have to heal themselves. But sometimes when you have some group support and maybe there's siege coming down, you can actually kill people. And in situations like this, the AoE execute is actually going to be better. Now, it's not going to hit quite as hard as this one, but if you find yourself in a situation where you're fighting multiple people constantly, I think the AoE version of this one might be better. but I'll leave that up to you. The next one, explosive charge. So this is your gap closer. Originally, this build would be using crit rush, which is nice, and I've used that in the beginning, but I decided to not use that anymore. Um, Mainly because I get major protection for explosive charge. I can hit more people with explosive charge, and I can kind of offload my stamina burden that I have from like casting stamina skills and dodging a lot and sprinting a lot. I can kind of take that stamina burden out of my crit rush and like put that into explosive charge, which means I can use my magicka here and I don't have to stress my stamina bar too much. And I think overall it just makes sense. It does a little bit more damage than crit rush. And yeah, the major protection for 10 seconds is actually really, really nice. That's a good buff to have. And yeah, overall, enemies are interrupted when you hit them. You set them off balance then, and they're stunned. So that's really nice. But overall, this is not going to stun people. It only stuns people if you interrupt them, which is good to have. You have other means of interrupting people too. But overall, this is, if people are not casting, you're not going to stun them, which is important because, like I said, you want to pull them in and then you want to stun them after they've been pulled in. So yeah, this is your gap closer. Here we have the healing contingency. So what this thing does is basically, it's just like another really good heal. Does a lot of just burst heal up front. Then you have 7.5k health over 12 seconds. That, I gotta say, you should probably take this passive out here, the everlasting magic, because it increases the duration of mage's guild abilities, which that is by 2 seconds. But I'm pretty sure you're not getting extra healing out of it. You're just getting extra duration. So this means instead of 7.5k health over 10 seconds, this is 7.5k health over 12 seconds. So you kind of want to take this out. That way your healing ticks are going to be a little bit stronger. It doesn't make a huge difference because the healing ticks are not super strong on this one. The reason I choose this though is because we have other means of healing which are really nice, and they kind of stack together, right? So the healing contingency with the burst heal and the little heal over time, super nice to have. And also we're putting the minor intellect and minor endurance buff on, which I think is super nice to have. 15% extra magicka stamina recovery, super nice. Stacks with your major buff, of course, that you get from your potion. This makes sure that you have a lot of sustain on a build like this. I absolutely love this. This is basically, I play this on almost every build. Healing contingency is like, if you don't need the contingency for damage, I think this is one of the best things you can do. So yeah, our ultimate is Dawnbreaker of Smiting. You know what it does: smacks people in front of you, stuns them, and then has like a 6-second dot that happens every 2 seconds that can do a lot of damage and kind of helps you finish people off, because that's going to be ticking on them while you're executing them, helping you get your targets down. On the back bar, we got Honor the Dead. That's your main heal, basically. And the way you kind of want to use those heals is you kind of want to hit the healing contingency first, and then hit the Honor the Dead if you have time to do it, of course, right? And what that does is it's going to give you a massive heal, because this thing is going to give you a massive heal. This thing's going to give you a massive heal. And then the healing over time comes in here, and just basically make sure that you have like some heals ticking on you. And using Honor the Dead gives you quite a bit of magicka back. So it's easier to sustain this morph than the other one. So yeah, that's pretty nice. The next one is Magical Soul. So what this does is just does magic damage. We have the class script on, which is giving you some armor and weapon spell damage. And if your Sacred Ground is active, which is basically when you're standing and you're restoring focus, you're getting more armor and you're getting more spell damage out of it. So if you're standing in your rune, you're gonna get more armor, more spell damage, which is nice because that also, you know, it makes you more tanky, makes you do more damage if you're fighting in a confined spot. That makes a lot of sense. And then of course we have the major breach on this one, as I already told you. You got the major and the minor. And yeah, so basically on the back bar on your bow, you kind of want to hit people with your venom arrow and then the magical soul. That way, you really fully buff up. You get the major brutality buff from venom arrow, right? You get the it's going to activate your enchant on the back bar, the another 450 weapon spell damage. You're going to get your 150 or up to 200 something, 225 weapon and spell damage from your class ability, and you put the major breach on. So you're basically, these two get you ready to attack a target, right? You want to open up with this one. Put this on, put this on. Now you're ready to attack the target, right? So that's it. We're using Venom Arrow on this one because we're not using Rally on our two-hander, for example, to get the major brutality and sorcery buffs. And so yeah, we're using Venom Arrow. The good thing about Venom Arrow is also that it interrupts people. So if someone's sieging, if someone's putting up a tent, if someone's rezzing someone, you can just pop the Venom Arrow on them and it's going to interrupt them. So it's really nice. Has a long range and it just makes it so that you can control people. If you don't want to, you know, people to be rest, and you see someone like rezzing someone, you just pop the Venom Arrow on them. They get interrupted. Super nice. And like I said, gives you the major brutality and sorcery, which you definitely need on this build. The next one is the Healing Vault. This is the bow ability that flips you backwards. Whee! Whee! Super nice. I really like this one. It's a little buggy. Right now, you sometimes when you cast it once, it just double casts, or sometimes sometimes it even triple casts. But I think they're about to fix that for the next patch. So next patch, I hope this is going to be fixed and going to be a much better skill for it. So this one also heals. It removes 3 snares and immobilization effects. So this is your this is really a good mobility tool, and it heals you. This is like a stamina heal because all your other heals are basically all the other burst heals are basically magicka based. So if your magicka is getting low, you can pop this for some stamina based healing. It removes the snares, removes immobilization, and it gives you minor expedition for 20 seconds. Super, super nice. Also, you can vault off a wall with this thing, and you take a lot less fall damage. There is a fall damage script for it that reduces fall damage even further, but it seems like just using this skill without the extra script on it already reduces your fall damage, because like I jumped off towers, I jumped off walls, and I don't take a lot of fall damage for it. So if you jump out of a tower, use this thing, right? You want to walk up to to the edge of a wall and then turn around and then hit this thing and fall down. Sometimes even it double casts, and you can like intentionally double cast it, and you will get another hit while you're mid-air, allowing you to basically just do another vault mid-air, which allows you to really get away from like a wall or a tower. If like, let's say there's like a Zerg coming up, right? You're defending a keep, you're on a wall, a Zerg is coming up, and you can just vault off the wall, and you get the double one. You create a lot of distance between you and that wall, and then of course you get the minor expedition, which means you can just dodge roll on the bow bar, and you get the major expedition on top of that, and you're like really fast, and you can make sure you can reposition yourself. So that's basically the mobility plays on this build. Super nice, super fun to use, because it's like such a weird skill, and like it's a thing that we never had, that we could never do. I'm really enjoying this one a lot. Also really nice to like juke people out. But yeah, great. So the next one is Restoring Focus. What this is, it gives you the major resolve buff, restores some stamina, and also it heals you when you're like, you can just pop it down And as you can see here in the corner, you see some heals taken, right? But if you move into your circle, you're going to get a lot more healing out of it, right? You're going to get a lot more healing out of it. And that also stacks with the healing that you get from your healing contingency. So the way to use it is basically use your contingency, and then you pop this thing down, and you get the double healing from your contingency and from this thing, which is quite a nice little bit of healing when you're taking a little bit of siege damage. This really helps you, stabilize your health bar a little bit, because if siege hits you, usually you take like a lot of damage in like these like waves, and that's pretty dangerous. But since this is ticking pretty fast, this is gonna make sure that your health bar is kind of filling up, and then of course you can pop your other heals as needed. So I really like this. Like, I use this when I'm standing at like a door and we're sieging a door. There's oil coming down. I'm always making sure I have my healing contingency and the rune is down and I'm standing in the rune, right? And as I said, standing in the rune also gives you extra spell resistance, and gives you the spell resistance. And if you hit someone with a magical soul here, you're gonna gain another 2.6k armor on top of what you have right now, just standing in the rune here, right? So that's gonna give you a little bit of extra tankiness, and that's basically it. Our ultimate is Ballista. You can use whatever you want. I used Ballista. I also used Undo. Undo is pretty nice too. Especially if you're juking people out, you're jumping off walls. Especially with this one here, a healing wall. You just vault off a wall. The guy follows you. You pop the Undo, and you're back on the wall. Stuff like that. If you want to do the jukes, Undo is really nice. But yeah, you can also, like, in group play, maybe you want to have the healing ultimate or something. I'll leave that up to you. Whatever fits your play style. But having the Ballista is pretty nice because you can just pop that down, and it's basically like another person attacking your target, right? And then you can just come in and you hit them with the javelin and stun them, and they just have to eat a couple of hits from the Ballista. It really helps with adding some damage. Let's look at the CP real quick, and then we're done. In the green tree, you can do whatever you want. Gifted Rider and Warmount, I would always recommend having. I would also recommend maybe having Sustaining Shadows if you're sneaking a little bit. Steed's Blessing should be there, just to get the extra out of combat movement speed. It's nice to have. I have Plentiful Harvest here because I do harvest things with this tune, but I'll leave that up to you. The green tree, usually not very interesting and doesn't have a lot of impact on a build in general. In the blue tree, Fighting Finesse for extra critical damage and critical healing. Backstabber for more critical damage when you're flanking targets, and you're going to be flanking targets a lot because you're all over the place. You're always attacking targets from the sides, from behind. You're pulling people in, and so you're like flanking people a lot, right? So this is coming in handy. Deadly Aim, extra damage for single target abilities, and then Mastered Arms, extra damage for direct damage abilities. Biting Aura would work too, for the limited but impactful AoE that you have. But I think this is the best. Deadly Aim, Mastered Arms is going to come in handy. Looking at the red tree, we're running Boundless Vitality, Rejuvenation, Sustained by Suffering, and Celerity. This just for extra health. This a little extra sustain. This even more sustain if you have a negative effect on you, which you're always going to have. So that's like another like 250, 240 extra regens for you, which, like I said, on this build, you need a lot of regens, and you get a lot of regens. And then Celerity, just for a little extra movement speed. And that's basically it. That's the build. This is Ghost 2024. I love playing this playstyle because, it reminds me of back in the day. We always played builds like this. Um, the skill ceiling on this build is a little bit higher than you know, you would find on like a meta build, for example. But if you're looking for a build that kind of rewards you for playing well, this is definitely it. And if you miss Ghost, if you've ever played Ghost, this is gonna be it. Give this a shot. I love this build. Makes me very nostalgic, and it makes me miss my friend KRIS a lot. And I hope he comes back one day. It would be nice. But yeah, that's it. Give this build a shot. Let me know how it goes. Like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll be back with another video soon, guys. Take it easy. Bye bye.